Can we close?
All right. We are live. Hello, and thank you for tuning in to Coffee with Ben. My name is Ben Blackman. I'm the Director of Development for RIDG, which is a group of innovation consultants based in St. Petersburg, Florida. Before we get started, I'd like to encourage everybody out there to subscribe to the RIDG YouTube channel and our Facebook page, where you can get all kinds of great content. And you can also schedule your own coffee session with me, Ben Blackman. We can do that and talk about how we can help your business. Or if you want to be on the show, we can do that as well. This show focuses on how companies innovate, strategically plan for the future, and how they create a strong culture for their employees. I'm excited to welcome back a frequent guest of ours. She is the RIDG founder and Chief Innovation Officer, Michelle Royal. Michelle, thanks for joining us this morning. How are you?
Hi, so glad to be here. Thank you, Ben.
Awesome. Well, I don't want to bury the lead. We have some very exciting news this morning. There's some big changes happening at RIDG, and that has happened over the last couple of months. We've undergone a complete rebranding process, and we've updated our website. Before we get into the show and tell portion of everything, I'm sure everybody's excited to see the new marks. I wanted to ask you about the driving force behind the changes. As someone who leads the business, I'm curious, how do you know exactly when it's time to kind of switch things up and give the business a fresh new look?
Well, it's definitively time to refresh the look when in the core work that we do with clients, we help them answer a bigger question. Who do you need to become to serve your clients in this emergent world? That's the first thing that we do. It's a big question. It moves us forward. And so we know it's time whenever we are 100% confident that who we were and who we are and as a business and how we serve is markedly different from where we started. So so that was it. And I don't know if other businesses experience this. Our clients certainly experienced this, that the pandemic presented an incredible gift of perspective, which was if there were a lot of things that weren't working before, they certainly didn't work during the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
And so it gave a lot of time to refresh our perspective on things. And that's exactly what we did. Was we evaluated where were we the most valuable for our clients, what did our clients most need, what were they saying was most important to them, where were they getting the most value out of our services, and then how can we reflect that? How can we connect our brand and our story to that bigger service experience that we provide?
That's great. Well, I know that it was good timing to be able to utilize the pandemic to refocus on everything and kind of get all the ducks in a row. You're very fortunate that you had some people on our team to help you out. You're one of the most creative people I know, but you had the opportunity to also work with our marketing strategist, Regina Ryan, and our visual strategist, Sarah Page. I'm curious, when you got together with Regina and Sarah, how did you approach the process of rebranding the company? So how do you work together with them, especially, given that you probably had to do most of it virtually, if not all of it? What is that
Sure.
process like to kind of look at what elements you might want to keep with the branding that we had, what things to change up, and then going through different iterations to get it to where you felt it was where it needed to be? What's that process like?
Sure. So I'm going to continue to build on seasoned experience and fresh perspectives, as well as providing agency or ownership in the ideation process with the team. So there were two additional things that happened. So as a result of the pandemic, really owning our story became super important. And when we brought Regina on, total rock star for our marketing and storytelling efforts, she did a complete analysis, unbeknownst to me, as part of her first 3 weeks in the organization, and presented to myself and another key leader context. And I think, Ben, you may have even been in that meeting as well, where we were examining where we were telling our story to the outside world. That mattered and her perspective mattered because she identified some really big gaps. So she had a completely fresh perspective on the company as she was learning about what we did as innovation experts, as she learned about the work that we did that magnified growth for our clients by the tune of almost $1 billion in the last 4 years for those who worked with us. So she was saying, okay, here's where you're telling the story and it's falling flat. Here's where you need to tell a story so it can really shine and connect to the people who are making decisions, who are really faced with the challenges that you help companies solve. And it was a huge awareness for us because um, I didn't know what I didn't know at the time. We spend so much of our effort in the prior 7 years was around referral business. And we knew that in order to continue moving forward into the future with our clients, we had to get our message out even more. We also knew that as a result of the pandemic, that word of mouth, that person to person connection was getting less and less and less. And that was being demonstrated by, of course, our business growth. So, meaning it was hard. And there's a lot of businesses that are really struggling. It's really hard to connect to the clients like we used to. So when she laid it out for us about where we needed to have the strongest story, that's what kicked it off. That's what made it completely, sort of a big picture awareness. Now, and a critical action that we needed to take. And refreshing the brand became a big part of that because where we had been telling our story, people knew us as one specific kind of company with a specific kind of service. So her fresh perspective just unlocked the whole opportunity. Then we had a seasoned professional, which was Sarah, who's been working in our company for 2 years, understood the underpinnings of all of our creative work, how we drive that mental change and also the change of action with the companies to drive growth. And she had a lot of ideas and she'd never been given permission really to express all of those ideas. And so she actually said, I'm going to take ownership of this and I'm going to work through it. And so when we see the brand, this is both her and Regina working deeply together, Regina having a completely new perspective, Sarah having a completely seasoned perspective, and then us really focusing as a team on what we uniquely and specifically do. That's the work that we help our clients with all the time. And so it was really great to activate that in the team.
So was this the sort of thing where you'd sketch out some ideas, send things over email, or were you having working sessions?
We had multiple.
That process?
First thing we did, which is the first thing we do with our clients as well in the creative process, is we got really clear about the verbal content, and the verbal content mattered. Having very specific language that said, this is what we know we do every day we show up to the business. This is our vision of what the world will look like, our big ambition, right, for what the world will look like when we are successful. This is specifically how we're going to talk about it. All of that happened, and you'll see it actually in our website. You'll see all of those elements in our website. We were very specific about the words that we chose. So that happened first, and that was through a series of sessions. And then Regina and Sarah worked on multiple concepts. So one of the things that's talked about a lot in innovation, but isn't practiced a lot, is prototyping. So we use some virtual tools to be able to prototype rapidly. And Sarah worked in those prototyping tools first in her own desktop experience, and then translated that and organized it so we could see all the prototypes simultaneously at the same time. That's what simultaneously means. My brain was like, say it plainly, Michelle. So at the same time. And then what we did was what we do with our clients in the creative process. So we said, oh, we really enjoy this element in this color palette. We really like this color palette. And that was how it evolved. So first we got the verbal language correct. We then selected the actual color palette. Then Sarah went and created 3 story themes, all targeting a different audience and really sending us a different message. And so we it was multi-phase, multi-meeting, but they weren't long meetings. They were anywhere from 30 minutes to 45 minutes. So we could discuss, and then she could go back to work. And it happened over the course of less than 90 days.
Wow. That is impressive. Well, I guess it's time to give the people what they want, which is to actually unveil the new branding. Let's actually see what you guys came up with. I think you're going to walk us through the new elements of the RIDG branding. So if you don't mind sharing your screen and giving us a tour of all the new elements that you guys created.
Yeah, so I want to welcome everyone to what is the future of RIDG. A lot of times companies talk about scaling ideas. You have to be able to scale the story or the brand as much as you have to scale anything else. And in our scaling efforts, the first thing that we had to try to scale in some sense was the essence of what we believe. And so even before I show it, I just want to create just a little bit of, this is what we believe. We believe that we are ultimately here, human to human, to help humanity thrive. When we evaluated the pandemic, we realized that the one thing that will forever stay the same is one human helping another human. And we believe that innovation is about by and for humans. So that was really important. And then we see a world of innovators. I see innovation everywhere I look. I see it in every person because I understand deeply the entirety of the process, not just the singular entrepreneur that it might be creating an idea or the creative who might be moving it forward. So in all of that, the reason why it matters is because RIDG at its core is about a specific kind of optimism. So hence,
All right.
here comes the
Drum
RIDG.
roll. Here we go.
Welcome to the new RIDG.
The new RIDG. I love it. And it matches your shirt and your lipstick and everything. It's all coordinated.
It does. It does. Well, I am every single day, I might be the only ambassador of what I believe on any given day, just like we all are. We all represent the things that we believe. So I am here. I'm here to stand next to all of the work that has been created and co-created, and I'm grateful for all of the contributions that brought us to this point. Absolutely grateful for everything that has brought us here. So in the essence of the brand RIDG, it's subtle as far as some of the changes. And we were having a conversation with a client yesterday that was discussing with us that many times people think that innovation is about this big future thing, this huge, sexy technology that's going to be transforming through AI, et cetera, like all these big, like robotics, big, sexy innovation. And the reality is that, and I think the pandemic also brought this into focus, the reality is that sometimes it's the day-to-day, innovating from the now. There are real needs that people have today that you can create from and bring totally new value into the market based on understanding our present state. So the reason that matters is that with RIDG, it's a subtle shift. We've softened our corners. We've become more human ourselves. We aren't as hard-lined from the perspective of how the brand was represented before. And we help create clarity in that fuzzy, in that really fuzzy information that we're getting in the world. What is also important is how we say our mission, which is that we provide expertise and tools to supercharge innovation efforts for maximum impact. At the core of it, we're about growth, at the very, very core of it. And what we know is that everyone has the capability for innovation. They just need the right tool and perspective. And all of that is a holistic experience. Our brand overall, we have committed to to a few elements, and here you actually get to see our 4 core colors now. So we aren't just one, which was red, or red, black, and gray. We are prismatic. We have a full spectrum available because that is what is required to make innovation successful. So we are smart, bold, fun, and clear. We try to keep it simple, and we don't overcomplicate things. The world's already complicated enough. We take complexity and make it understandable, usable, formidable for you. And we also are about inspiring growth in a way that's fun and memorable, and most importantly, delivers results.
I love it. Now, there's a million colors out there and different variations of every color. How long does it take to actually land on, okay, this is the specific type of blue that I want, or this is the exact yellow that works for us? Is that a difficult challenge to narrow it down?
Sure. So the actual first color that was chosen selects almost everything else, right?
Okay.
And if you study color theory, I don't know if you know, there's a world of color theorists out there
I've
that
not
are,
studied it.
because it affects manufacturing, all of fashion and design, the production of materials. So 3D printing is affecting that a little bit. However, there are color theorists who have predicted what the color of 2030 is going to be. And so there are color schemes that are coming from the future to us, because they have to develop all of the printing and all of the production and manufacturing around those colors. And then I don't know if you've ever gone shopping before and you're like, oh my gosh, this color is everywhere. Where did it come from? Either in clothing or at home. So there is an actual business around color theory. So the first color that mattered was the core brand color, which is this really vibrant, almost pink. So it's a step away from or a step beyond. And I say it's a step into optimism, and also a step into authentically expressing everything that we unlock within organizations. And that is the color that is on Smart. We also went with a gradation within that, so that there was multi-tones. I like to say, I've been like really holding back in our time together, Ben, because what I want to say is this is about prismatic optimism, which means something very specific. We see things from multiple perspectives, and we also know the power of one thing becoming just a multifaceted force for growth within an organization. So first was this sort of, really vibrant fuchsia. We call it ruby red color.
Mm-hmm.
And then there were the other three. And there are complementary analogous color schemes. There's all different ways to look at color theory. I'll tell you, the most contentious color, the one that we had the most conversation about, was the blue. We didn't want it to look too 90s, but what can I say? I'm a 90s girl. I was in high school in the 90s, so I kind of liked it, but that was the one that we really had to work hard on to get that color right for us. We knew we wanted multifaceted. We knew we wanted at least 4. And so it was just about making sure that they worked well together, and there's specific color theory that goes behind it.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Thank you for that insight.
You're welcome. I also want to talk about our logo, which has been a block for this whole time. It's always had an upward trajectory line, which was signifying the results that our clients get from us, which is always growth. And it starts actually becoming the essence of our brand, which is around the promise of potential and the team's ability to make transformative decisions. It's also about the basics, and the basics and the fundamental are really important to our brand, because we have in our organization the way that we practice innovation, the way that we practice growth specifically is around the fundamentals of human change. And it's really, really important to understand the fundamentals in order for us to create whatever transformation might happen. We can master the fundamentals. It's really, really hard to master something that we don't understand. Mm-hmm. So we make the change understandable to all of the individuals in the organization. We translate what needs to happen into individual meaning within the team members. So what we do is part art, part science at the end of the day, whenever it comes to to the work of growth in mastering growth. This is our new brand mark. It's not much different, and yet it is very different. And then this is the color scheme here and how the brand is represented. It just shows you all the different ways in which the color schemes are used. And this is our build logo, which is our method for driving innovation, business innovation, and leadership design. Always, when looking at an idea in the company, we understand that innovation is about investing time, talent, and money in order to yield growth, a return on that investment. And there's two sides to it. There's the business model side and the business innovation and the strategy and the planning in a near, mid, and long-term perspective, prioritization of what matters most today and the one thing that you can do. And then there's the leadership design, which is how individuals drive that growth throughout the company. B-Suite is our virtual services that emerged out of the pandemic. And then here's the color schemes that you were talking about.
Great stuff.
Yeah, and other treatments of it. And then our, what we call the whole team, this was probably where things started getting really fun for us, which is how we tell our story. We have been known, and this was the big impetus. So we'd been known as a visual facilitation firm for a long time, and yet all of the work that we have done with our clients that yielded the biggest impact was around this business innovation and leadership design. So last year we created our method, which is build, and we're trying to think about how do we continue to translate the importance of fundamentals and language and thinking in driving this change. And so we decided to introduce these fundamental shapes as a way to pull together our story and communicate clearly to our clients the impact and the growth that they can experience on an ongoing basis. The shapes have a very specific role in our organization, and they can tell a multitude of stories, and you'll see them in how we leverage the shapes to tell both meaningful as well as playful stories to keep us in an optimistic state, realistic but optimistic state while we grow together. And just all of the different ways that they can be expressed. You will see that.
Now, I know that obviously this is very important to have all these new elements and colors, but you got to put it into actual practice, which is what we did by revamping our website. So I'm excited to have you walk us through how those elements now translate to our doorstep, so to speak, on our website. So if you don't mind, take us through the changes at RIDG.com.
Sure, will do. So seeing the creative process in action, and we're excited to learn what's resonating, what's not resonating. I've been having listening sessions with friendlies over the past month. We've received a lot of feedback, but here is RIDG.com. At the very top of it, we certainly demonstrate that our mission, which is to provide expertise and tools to supercharge innovation efforts for maximum impact. We have some of our thought leadership here on the very first page. And then we're interested in how you are wanting to grow your business. Is it about transforming your team into revenue-seeking machines that grow profits? Is it about supercharging your current innovation program in order to scale that method or that model throughout the rest of the organization? Or is it about replicating success and growing into new markets? So that talks about the three different ways in which we provided the most value to our clients. One being the identification of new value creation markets. At the end of the day, almost every client we work with has some kind of funding that is moving into it, either private equity, VC. There's some kind of funding that's coming into the company that's allowing it to scale. And that's the expectation. You will grow. You will lead in new markets. You will grow in new markets. And the pressure is intense. So the P&L really is the ultimate return on innovation. Like, tell us, where did we grow? And where can we invest more to grow even more? So we help leaders prioritize where they need to make those investments, what those investments look like, and then the expected return on those investments. And then we guide them to make sure that it happens. We lead them through the growth process. So we have a little bit of information on a case study of a specific client that had a 25% increase in revenue out of one session with us. And over the course of the next year, they landed a $20 million contract within 6 months. They were a $20 million company at the time that they worked with us. So that was pretty significant. And then they utilized our process and refining their methodology for a complete company-wide acquisition, where that model, their model for growth, was purchased as part of the overall valuation. So before I go on to the next page to show you a little bit of our methodology and case studies and who we work with, at the end of the day, what we know is that we work with companies to help them increase their valuation. It's really, really simple. So and you're in good company. We have a few testimonials. We're gathering more testimonials. If you are a current client, you want to give us a testimonial, I'm sure we've reached out to you, but we'll continue to add those stories. Our methodology is built, as I mentioned before, it is your blueprint for growth. And it helps you prioritize, provides tools and best practices for growing specific revenue streams or your entire organization. And what we know, and every company experience highs and lows, is all about our universally sound change management process. It always, we've spent our entire career as RIDG simplifying the complex, and our clients reflect back to us over and over again. I've heard it before. It just finally makes sense. Now I can understand where my team might be in this process and how to craft my communication to lead them through what could be continued incredible uncertainty while they are receiving positive financial results. And so we have different aspects here. You can see our brand elements. We encourage you to come and check it out. And we have our case study page that you can download some case studies. We have our thought leadership here, which is our blog, all of the different things that we've been able to talk about around business growth. And we also know that, we practice the art and science of growth. I think that was probably the first thing that we came to. Which is, I'm excited. I'm excited.
We all are. It's awesome. I can say that I am unbelievably impressed with the work that you all have done. And I've already gotten some comments from people that I've talked to about our website. They love it as well. You can see some of the new branding on our LinkedIn profiles as well. We've gotten some good feedback on that. So job well done overall. Really, really exciting stuff. And for those that are just joining us, we are joined by Michelle Royal, who is the founder and chief innovation officer of RIDG. We've been talking about some of the rebranding efforts that we've undergone over the past couple of months. Just reviewed some of our branding elements and the revamped website, which is ridg.com, RIDG.com. Michelle, you touched on this a little bit about kind of the renewed approach to how we're helping businesses accelerate growth, kind of a shift towards really narrowing in on the business impact and the ROI of the work that we're doing. Was that just kind of a result of what you were hearing from clients on what they needed? What kind of precipitated the shift in mindset to really focus more on, okay, what are the results of the innovation work as opposed to the innovation efforts themselves?
Yeah, so I've been in the field of innovation for 15 years now. I've been helping executives and teams face some of the most impossible challenges for over 20 years now, for about 25 years now, which is a long time. But it really came down to what's the result? What's the outcome? When we are invited into a room, it's there's a few conditions at play. One, they have tried even traditional methods for innovation, dare I say. And I say traditional as in dumping all of their eggs in one basket or all of their money into one technology initiative that was going to take a year to 3 years to produce. And it was the wrong thing. Like by the time it hit the market or was there to serve their team, it was wrong and it fell flat. And so all of that money got sucked out of the company because they made all this investment. So they're dealing with an intense sense of rejection of ideas, rejection of process. So we're typically asked to the table after that's happened. We're also typically asked to come to the table when they realize they need to do something different and they don't know what that thing is. They don't know that there's, and no one needs to even know that there's 63 different codified, in other words, documented methodologies for innovation with thousands of tools on the back end. What's going to drive their change all depends on where they came from, where they are, and where they need to go, where they are in the life cycle of the business. Like there's just a lot of questions in that first orientation around their current state. We're also typically brought in on a third scenario. So one is they made all these investments, huge failure, innovation's been rejected, new ideas have been rejected. The company doesn't believe that anything that they invest in is really going to be successful. Or the other scenario that I talked about. So the third one is that they actually have some insights. Their clients are responding to them and saying, hey, we really need this. This is really valuable. Give me more of it. And they can't, for lack of a better term, get their shit together. So they can't make the decision. They don't know where to start. They don't know what's first. So if everything had been rejected before, they don't know how to move forward on what the market's hungry for.
Yep.
Like those are two different ends of a spectrum. And then, like I said, the second one is they know they need to do things differently. What did Einstein say? Insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. We're brought in when you're done being insane and you're ready to have some kind of sanity about what it means to grow. That's the art and science of growth. We help your executive team get clear. We help you prioritize. And so that's really what the messaging was about. What is this work that's happening? Yes, there's the business innovation piece, but humanity is like amazing and incredible and resilient and problem solvers. We are natural problem solvers from the time we're born. And how can we translate that, turn it in the right direction? How do we take what is a natural waterfall, Niagara, build the engineering structure, the power station, and how do we power that whole company, right? As humans, we're organic beings. How do we translate that power that we have and that ability that we have to grow into through the lens of business systems and organize it in a way that's going to make it absolutely skyrocket, grow, be even better, serve the clients even better, be leaders in the industry, be leaders in the market, be leaders with your client. And we use a very human-centered approach, but I think that it's practical. Too many times innovation and design thinking sounds pretentious or artsy. And, we just get down to the brass tacks of what needs to happen. What are you going to do? How do we take that big picture outcome and turn it into what's going to happen today? That's what we do.
And you make it fun. Going back to the 4 brand attributes, fun is one of them. And I think that is a key differentiator. And along those lines, we always like to end this show with a little bit of fun. We talked a lot about business stuff. I'd like to get a little more personal so that our audience can get to know you a little bit better and how fun you are.
Okay,
So
I'm gonna stop the share so it's like,
this is what we call the Benny Good Times Fast Five. It's 5 quick questions so that people get to know you a little bit better. And you've gone through this before on previous episodes, so I got 5 new questions for you. I'm not going to give you the same ones you've had before. So the first one, just to give people a little insight into you and what you're like, I'm curious, what is your favorite book of all time? I know you're quite a heavy reader, and you right behind you in the office, there's a bookshelf with hundreds of innovation books and all kinds of creativity books. Is there a favorite book that you have?
oh my gosh. It depends on the sign of the times. However, if I had a favorite book today that I have recommended more than any, so there's the spiritual books, which I won't mention because some of them would reveal more than I can. But there's the spiritual books. But there is a book that was really transformative for me, and it was called Becoming Supernatural by Dr. Joe Dispenza. And that's one of my favorite books for me because it does actually link the science and practice of understanding this magnificent mechanism called our brain and how we can use it to manage this very organic system called our body, and create change in our life. So
Awesome.
that book came to me a couple years ago, and the story's wild, so I won't go into it. Wild stuff happens all around me all the time, so I'm just used to it. But that's probably one of my favorite books.
Awesome. So question 2, we talked about the words that describe RIDG as a company, but I'm curious, how would you describe yourself in 3 words? Or how do others describe you most frequently?
Whoa. I would say, I'm going to go ahead and with as much humility as I can possibly say this. I do believe that I am extraordinary. Humbly, I believe that I am extraordinary because I've lived through some really extraordinary circumstances in life. So I just wanted to preface that. Yeah, so I will say that there's a sense of extraordinariness. Grateful. I believe I am a very grateful individual and inspiring.
Fantastic. And I would concur with all 3 of those. Creative was hard to leave off there, though. I don't know how you, that was the first one that came to my mind, but we'll go with those 3. Fantastic. All right. Question 3. This is a fun one. Who or what is your greatest source of laughter?
Oh my God. Well, you know the answer to that one. My greatest source of laughter is Keith. I don't know if you brought that up because my goal this year, my biggest goal, like we have funny goals for anyone who's watching, but we have really funny goal. My goal is to have a laugh out loud, full body belly laugh every single day, at least once. And my biggest source of that experience is the love of my life, Keith, and the reason he's on board for it. So he actually like tries to find ways to make me laugh. He already did it this morning.
Fantastic. You're already ahead of the game. So that's a fantastic goal. Everyone should have that goal. And if I had a wish for everyone, it would be that they do have some source of laughter in their life. We all need to remember to laugh more. I'm glad that Keith is there to provide that laughter for you. Question 4, if you had to work outside your current industry, so innovation, consulting, something completely different, what job do you think you would be best at?
Well, okay, so it's what I'd be best at. There's also things that I like dream about.
Okay, well, we can go in both directions.
Okay. I would actually be a home renovator. I love working with my hands. So not just a designer, but I would actually be in the construction process. I love building I love imagining what's possible. I love making that real. So in some sense, it's very similar to the innovation, where you're
Mhm.
making the intangible tangible. So I just, that's what I would do. And
Okay.
I know I'd be really, really good at it. So
Yes, I think you would as well.
yeah.
And then finally, you live in the greater Tampa Bay area. Unfortunately for me as a Chiefs fan, the Bucks just won the Super Bowl. Everyone around the city is super excited. The Lightning won a championship earlier in the year. The Rays were in the World Series. I don't know what's in the water down here, but they're calling it Champa Bay.
Tampa Bay.
What does it say about this area that all these teams are having such great success? How are you enjoying the success of the local sports teams?
Well, I do love sport, and I love sport because I love I love an industry where you get to experience and have that emotional connection with mastery. And I just think that sports is one of those. And I just imagine what it's like for the owners of these teams. I wonder if they've gotten together and they share coaching. I have no idea if there's something around that, or if they just support each other. That's been another aspect of the whole winningness of the seasons that has been really, really exciting, is to see how the players support each other. The Lightning's got on their flight to go play Nashville the last 2 days,
Mhm.
and they were all wearing Bucks jerseys on Sunday in support of the Bucks. But I think, what I really, really love about it, though, and I actually wrote a client who was also really into the wave of Champa, all of the things, and um, I said something that they taught me, or that I learned from them, which is that leaders lead. And it's also how one individual in a team, so it's multiple, right? One person's vision can inspire so many others. And maybe Tampa would have won the Super Bowl. It's very possible. Maybe the Lightning, would have won the Stanley Cup. Um, I know the owner behind the Lightning, Jeff Vinnick, and his dream of moving to Tampa was all about possibility. I've met so many people who come to a place because of the possibilities of what they can become as a result of being here. They see opportunity, and not that doesn't happen everywhere. Not everyone is maybe not everyone feels lucky enough to be able to have that kind of dignity of choice, as I call it. It's, it is a choice, but these were individuals who had succeeded in one area, and they decided they did all of their evaluation and research, and they said, you know what, this could be possible here.
Mhm.
And so, not to bring it back to innovation, but I'm going to bring it back to innovation, which is that um, innovation is most successful when the individuals leading it believe that, and see the possibility, see the opportunity, and they're willing to do whatever it takes. It doesn't mean that they sacrifice everything on themselves. They actually delegate, they lead others, but leaders lead. And that's what innovation does. It matches, it marries that vision of the opportunity with what the reality is, and then there's all the work in between to make it possible. and
Mhm.
and I just think that that's incredible. That's what I think Tampa is representative of right now. I believe all other communities and people, they all have different stories where that's happening. But
Well, that's a fantastic place to stop. Congrats to the Bucks, and
yay.
hopefully we'll have more success in the area in 2021. So Ridge can be a part of your success.
Yeah.
Once again, feel free to go to our YouTube channel, our Facebook page. There's plenty of great content. You can watch videos that feature Michelle, and of course, be sure to check out our brand spanking new revamped website. That's ridg.com, RIDG. I want to thank Michelle Royal again for joining us this morning. It was fantastic catching up. Thank you all for tuning in, and we will see you next time. Take care.